Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Saga the Clone Saga, and it's Christmas in June as we have a Christmas themed episode. And alongside us, we have.
Billy.
I am Vincent.
And I'm Matt. And today, our episode is brought to you by Spider Bites. Again, I mentioned this a couple weeks back. Spider Bites is a daily show that I'm doing on my Instagram at Daily Spider Bites, where I read an issue of Amazing Spider-Man every day and give a short, about a minute review of it. Today, I finished the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko run. So if you want to, you can go check out the entire thing there, or in the next couple of days at some point, I'm going to have a compilation video here on this channel, so keep your eyes out for that.
And in over a year, you may get to Amazing Spider-Man 400.
I may.
Which we discussed on this show.
Yeah, how many episodes ago was that?
Oh, a while ago.
Like 10 episodes ago.
Yeah.
A lifetime ago.
It feels like that.
Today we are talking about the Arc Media Blizzard, and then we have a holiday special, for better or worse. So, first issue, Sensational Spider-Man #1. Finally, we have the actual #1 after we already dealt with a Wizard promo and then a Zero issue. I like the cover here. Nice Spidey pose in the snow. I don't know what this green shit is, though.
It's supposed to be Mysterio.
Yeah. I mostly like the cover. The Spider-Man pose is pretty cool, and the art is mostly clean. But that Mysterio thing, it just looks like someone spilled ectoplasm on the cover or something. It looks wrong.
Slimer jizzed all over this cover.
He did.
It's Venom's drool again. He's back.
Somehow Billy looks creepier putting the mask down, so...
And I'd like to play a game this episode. If someone can guess what's under the hat by the end of the episode, they win.
What do they win?
A free Rip Jack t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
We don't even have our Rip Jack t-shirts yet.
Merch store coming soon. We will see Venom, but that's at the end of this episode. So creative team here, we have Dan Jurgens writing and drawing it, and Klaus Janson inking. It looks pretty nice. This is, I think, the best looking Spidey book right now.
It's easily the best looking Spidey book.
And off the bat, we have something that has happened a few times. And I thought it was going to be legit here, but Ben is a better person. Spider-Man almost steals a newspaper, but he does pay for it this time.
This time.
Like Peter Parker.
Yep.
But this is Peter Parker.
No, it's Ben Reilly.
No, this is Ben.
But at this point, he was Peter Parker.
No, it's Ben Reilly.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And so there is a record blizzard coming, and a new TV channel exists. It's called Mystery Vision. And Ben he hasn't gotten around to watching it because he doesn't own a TV because it's really broke.
Which, that's bullshit, because we saw him watching TV when he was sewing his costume back together.
That's true.
But then that makes you think, did he break into someone's attic to sew his costume?
Right, because he doesn't own a sewing machine either. So he just broke into some old lady's house.
That's completely true, though. Literally
No. He was in Aunt May's house. That's where he went. Because he talked about... No, he wasn't. He talked about... It reminded him of being in Aunt May's house.
He definitely broke into, Olga's house or something.
And regardless, if he's totally shit out of luck and, doesn't have a TV, doesn't have a nice place to stay, who's in Aunt May's house right now? Peter's... Well, we're gonna get to it, but Peter's about to go out of town, and he already has his separate apartment with MJ. So
Venom is in
financial decision.
Venom's in Aunt May's house.
Let's swing that nice house to your clone buddy.
It's not that nice. It's a house in Queens.
It's a house.
And so Ben's also still on the lookout for the DIT chip, which I think in the third issue they finally remind us what that stands for, but I don't really care. And we know Mysterio has the chip, but Ben doesn't at this point. And then we get back to the daily grind. Ben's little coffee shop. He makes a latte for a customer named Jessica, who's this big titty goth photography student.
It's Jessica Jones.
Ooh, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
But I think the fact that Jessica Jones and Peter Parker grew up together is all kinds of complicated because Marvel is okay with Jessica Jones being a mother and being more mature, but they don't like referencing Peter Parker's age.
Yeah, the hard drinking and violent kind of sociopath is okay to be a mom.
Yep. Well, I think the best part of the Jessica Jones story is the anal sex in issue 1.
Podcast coming soon.
Anal sex podcast.
Anal sex and comics podcast coming soon.
Well, I'd have to do some research.
No, here's the thing. Later tonight, he'll send us a list of every time it's happened.
Yeah, we're gonna get a spreadsheet, a color-coded spreadsheet. It's gonna happen.
So this girl Jessica, she has a tragic backstory. She has 2 dead parents, and there's some iffy stuff about her dad, which she doesn't want to talk about. And this Jessica character is a creation of Dan Jurgens that he had long-term plans for, and we will get to who she is eventually.
I was gonna say because you told me who this is.
It'll be very interesting.
I won't reveal it, but it's stupid.
I'm pretty sure you've actually said it.
If I had to guess,
okay, Billy.
I don't know what you're talking about, but if I had to guess, I would assume that it's the daughter of one of Spider-Man's villains, because that's literally how every fucking character in this show has been.
You're definitely correct, but which villain?
I don't care.
The first villain ever.
The first villain ever. It's the robber that killed.
Yes, she's the burglar's daughter.
What?
Come on, is that actually it?
Yes.
No.
Oh my fucking god.
All right, so wait for our full reaction to that when it's revealed in a few episodes. And Ben lets out that he has experience with photography, and then I guess because of the blizzard, he gets let off work and is now hanging out with this stranger. Which I guess that's how you meet people. I wouldn't really know, but he literally just made her a coffee, and now she's taking him to the photography dark room in the middle of a blizzard.
Listen, it was a really good coffee.
She said so. She's a really strict grader, but it was a fantastic espresso.
And then, not even that, she takes pictures of Spider-Man, and she's considering selling them to the Bugle. And she was actually teased in like 2 pages or something 2 episodes ago or whatever. And back then, she just seemed like a creepy stalker, and we'll see whether that's true.
And next up, Brad Bird would, and what happens later, Brad Bird read this issue and decided, I'm going to make this the plot of Incredibles 2.
I hope that's true. So then Ben runs into the inventor of the dumb chip, and he wants, he's like, all right, Jessica, I got to bail. But then she agrees to a date. And somehow TVs can set off the spider sense, which sort of makes sense in this context. And this new channel is somehow using the chip. And it says that there's no need for writers, directors, actors, and cameras. And it's like whoever has the chip is directly thinking up the stories from their mind. And I couldn't tell if they were like not trying to do like some commentary where it's like whether creative people are valued or something. There's like 2 lines where you're like, where you could almost say, are they trying to say something really stupid here?
You could. But I'm willing to bet they did not put nearly that much thought into it.
Yeah.
I think it's just, hey, TV's bad.
Yeah, so then Ben snoops on the headquarters of Mystery Vision, and Mysterio just immediately reveals himself and like his whole plan.
Yep.
And we get a very shoot-in spider sense explanation where Ben's like, "You didn't set off my spider sense, despite the fact that you never do." And Mysterio's like, "Yeah, I never have since my first appearance in Spider-Man 13. Again, go check out episode 13, at least on Instagram, of Daily Spider Bites, or the compilation coming soon.
Right.
I just like how Mysterio's like, "Yeah, I've never set it off, dumbass."
And then, like Mike says, he tricks Spidey into putting on some glasses, which stick to his eyes. And it is literally The Incredibles 2. But with, I guess, weaker motivations from the villain.
I mean, the villain in Incredibles 2 already has some pretty bad motivations.
Yeah.
You're right.
But at least she kind of has stuff to say. Mysterio's just like, it's weird because there's this new design for Mysterio, and he's doing this dumb, like, virtual reality adjacent stuff that we've been cringing at for a few episodes. But at the same time, it's kind of going back to his very, very original roots, where he's like, I just want to be fucking famous and have people respect my work. Whereas other times he's like, oh, I'll rob a bank, I guess. And so, for the sake of entertaining television, Mysterio creates a bunch of holiday-themed holograms to run around New York City and fuck with Spider-Man. And this is because Spider-Man gets the viewers and the ad dollars. And Spidey, I love how his thought is, oh, well, the Avengers aren't showing up, so it's up to me. And it's like, or maybe chill the fuck out and realize you were just in a room with Mysterio. So, like, just stand there and wait for Mysterio to be like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
You're just going there like, wow, this is easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's what he should do like half the time with Mysterio. Because Mysterio is hardly ever, like, he hardly ever resorts to anything lethal anyways. And then the
man, Logan.
Well, we'll see later. He attempts to.
Right, Mysterio is most effective in other people's books.
Yeah,
well, yeah, like in Guardian Devil.
In Guardian Devil.
And the drama, the big dramatic point at the end of this issue is that, oh no, the web fluid is freezing. So
but the real dramatic point. Yeah, he says groovy.
Freezes instantly. Like,
and now this isn't quite as relevant, but at the end of this issue, since it's the first issue of the series, they ask the readers to name the letters page. So what would you guys name the letters page for Sensational Spider-Man?
You know what? I've come up with this. I've come up with this very original idea. I would call it Spider Bites, and yeah.
And they say if anyone suggests Sensational Spider-Male, they're going to get slapped.
Damn, that was my suggestion.
And then the cover tease for the next issue.
Well, wait. That was my suggestion. So, Dan Jurgens, if you're watching this, please slap me.
Wherever he wishes.
We're not into kink shaming here, but you should probably stop.
Let's get Dan Jurgens on the show just to slap Mike.
I mean, I'd be down just because, like, I like his work. Not every day you can say a great creator like Dan Jurgens slapped you in the face.
And then the cover tease for the next issue of Sensational is a skull with a Spider-Man mask on. And when we get to that, that's going to make 0 sense.
Anything else in this podcast makes sense?
Yeah, but that will make literally no sense. So now, Amazing Spider-Man 408, the cover has Ben collapsed in the snow, and this is one of my favorite covers in the entire Clone Saga.
It's pretty good.
I like this cover. I think it's really cool.
For some reason, like, white and Spider-Man, like the white color background and Spider-Man work really, really well.
They do. He pops.
This is at this point, regular creative team of Tom DeFalco and Mark Bagley. I felt like Bagley's art was kind of rough in a few scenes in this book. I don't know what's going on. Didn't seem quite as refined.
Because he doesn't care. His heart's not in it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I've felt that way for a few issues, but a few previous have had excuses like the Scarlet Spider era and stuff like that. So with Ben's web shooters failing, he's bouncing between buildings and he barely survives. So now he's injured, I guess.
But he separates his shoulder, right?
No. It doesn't explicitly say that. He just like messes up his arm.
Yeah.
And now, here's the topical reference that we're gonna dig into.
Yeah, there's some topical this time.
Mysterio wants better ratings than the OJ verdict announcement. It happened on October 3rd, 1995.
Yep.
100 million people watched or listened to it. And before the announcement was made, Bill Clinton was giving a security briefing in case there were riots across the country. Before, during, and after the announcement, phone call traffic increased by 58%. Stock exchange activity was up 41%. Water usage was down because no one was going to the bathroom. And this happened. It was announced at 10 a.m. I think 10 a.m. Pacific, and it is estimated that it cost $480 million in productivity. Everyone distracted watching the OJ verdict.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, there should be that many eyes on it when the United States justice system said, yeah, murder is legal in the state of California.
OJ, rest in peace.
He's still alive.
I know.
Let's get OJ on the podcast.
He just got out.
Yes, that means he
totally
can come.
down to have OJ on the podcast.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, he can come on the podcast.
We can ease him into it. We can ask him questions about Spider-Man, and then it can be like, "Yo, did you kill her?"
Like maybe it was a clone.
I just want to say, the man wrote a book called "If I Did It," in excruciating detail about the crime. No.
So getting back into
podcast coming soon.
Getting back into the story, our favorite new villain, Armada, breaks out of custody with his creepy romance drones.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really see how he fucks any of these drones.
Dude.
I mean, the other way around, maybe. They're not that large.
You're right.
This is a lot more fun if you imagine Armada as O.J. Simpson.
And then things get really cringy with Tom DeFalco writing this because there's some dumb gang war going on between the Burning Blades and Jagged Skulls.
Yeah, they're rioting over the OJ verdict.
Yeah, they're all these young African American fellows, and DeFalco writes them with these cringy street accents. And I think the audience insert or the focal point character is named Shaquem.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met someone named Shaquem. Could be a name. And it's either better or worse. I'm not sure when it's revealed that they're either monsters or aliens. But that doesn't make sense either because that implies that they're part of Mysterio's visions.
No, they're not monsters or aliens. That's an illusion.
Okay.
Because of the things he put. Mysterio fooled you too.
Mysterio fooled you.
Okay, so Spidey sees them as what they actually are, and then they turn into aliens when he punches them. But they actually are what they actually are.
They actually are what they actually are. Mysterio is using the DIT chip to make Spider-Man think they look like monsters.
But only after he punches them.
After he punches them. Yeah.
It's so stupid. And
Listen,
then
a lot of people get fooled by Mysterio, and O.J. Simpson fools people into thinking that he's not a murderer. It just happens.
And then
O.J. Mysterio.
And then Mysterio gives us a cringy pop culture reference. He shit talks Die Hard 3 and Star Trek 7, which are not really known by those names. So that is Die Hard with a Vengeance and Star Trek Generations, which was the first TNG film / the last TOS film.
It's not good.
Yep.
My power just went out, in case you're wondering.
Was it OJ?
I think it was OJ.
He's got a knife. Watch out.
Then Spidey and Armada fight, whatever. And he rips Armada's armor off, and it's supposed to be this big moment. and I don't really care.
It's really bad.
And at the end of the fight, due to them beating the shit out of each other, Spidey's eyes are all cracked, and so he realizes that he's been wearing glasses, and he takes them off. And our favorite new character, Shaquem, gives up the gang life, and then Spidey intimidates the other gang members. And this final page has terrible storytelling. Like, it definitely doesn't follow the rules of where you're supposed to move between panels at all.
It's so bad.
Also, according to Ben, Shaquem Panzos is his main man, and he's on a free pass.
Yeah, his main man.
He gets a free pass just like OJ got a free pass.
Ooh, the commentary. They're thinking about these issues. And now into the third part. This cover, it's not the worst, but look at Mysterio on it.
Oh, hold on.
It has so many damn belts on.
Yeah, okay, Mysterio has a shit ton of belts. I already established this in a previous episode that he has the most belts out of every Spider-Man villain that we've seen thus far.
Huh?
But I forgot to mention in the last issue, Mysterio says something so fucking stupid. I don't know if it's a term people actually use, but it doesn't make sense. Maybe, okay, actually looking back through, he might say it in this issue, I don't care. He says it, and I'm pointing it out either way late or way ahead of time. He says the views, he's getting geometric views.
Oh, yeah.
And he totally means exponential.
Yeah.
But I guess his views are turning into shapes in front of his eyes, because that's like, he clearly doesn't know what math terms to use, but he wants to sound smarter than he is.
If you want to sound smarter than you are, you could always, murder your ex-wife and get away with it.
I'm getting differential views. My views are approaching infinity. I don't know math. I'm worse than him.
Mysterio versus Matt at the Math Olympics.
Yeah.
Next episode. So in Spider-Man 65, we have Howard Mackie, John Romita Jr., and Romita sharing art duties with Tom Morgan somehow. And you can almost tell, but it's not I didn't think it was egregious style switch ups or anything like that. I was kind of surprised by that.
I keep forgetting that John Romita Jr. is drawing this book.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely noticeable that it's not fully Romita, but it doesn't drastically switch from page to page, in my opinion.
Yep.
So Spidey can't track down Mysterio at the start of this, so he just goes home to sleep, which I like. It's all right, clocking out, done for the day. I'll get back to it in the morning. But while he's sleeping, Mysterio, sort of in his disguise, is throwing this giant party. So I feel like you could have figured that out.
And real quick, he's in disguise as the head of this, mystery vision or whatever. Is it? Oh, yeah, my bad. He does say his name. It is Quentin Beck.
Yeah, it's Ralph Fiennes, I think.
Yeah. I was going to ask if he's Quentin Beck or not, and then I saw on this page he says he's Quentin Beck, so I don't ask that. We're good.
And then Ben is woken up by Jessica for their date. And again, there's still this giant blizzard. I'm like, just rain check it. You can go out the next day.
Okay, they're saying this is a giant blizzard, but the images they're showing is just normal winter in New York. You can definitely walk through the snow. It's no more than 2 feet, which is a lot, but for New York, it's really not.
Spoken by a person who's never lived in New York.
Yeah, but no, I've seen New York and how bad it can get.
But have you lived it?
No. But I definitely know that people who live in New York would not describe this as a giant blizzard.
You know who lived in New York for a number of years? O.J. Simpson.
I swear to God. I think we're done with this, Mike.
Did he?
We're done with
Did O.J. Simpson live in New York?
Yeah, he lived in Buffalo because he played for the Bills.
Which would have more snow.
We can ask O.J. Simpson to go out. Snows in New York.
Yeah, we'll ask him when he comes on the podcast.
They're walking on their date, and they see some people outside of the windows watching Mystery Vision. And I love this point where Ben has a crisis. He's like, is anyone really being hurt? Is this a job that Spider-Man needs to deal with? Like, can't the FCC do something? I thought that was really...
I also don't think Mysterio is technically breaking any laws.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Ben thinks.
Like, subliminal messaging is something that a lot of studios do, and he's taking it to an extreme, but it's not technically illegal. Like, it's fucked up and sort of morally wrong.
Well, the best part about it is, like, the critics have watched the shows, but somehow they're not under the mind control, so, like, they were slamming the shows critically.
Well, I mean, eventually you break out of it. So they say that it's shit after the fact when they write the review, but it says they still keep watching it.
Right.
Even the critics. But then, whilst Ben is having this crisis, a truck's engine catches on fire. And this isn't even really explained. I guess it has nothing to do with the plot. It's just a random thing. And he thinks he's going to have to bail on another date. Like, that's the whole superhero thing. Oh, no, I'm out with a friend. Something's happening. I got to go, oh, sorry. And then get in costume. But Jessica runs first to take the pictures. And then Ben's like, oh, that's cool.
And then he doesn't get out of the way when the truck almost explodes.
And so then he puts his suit on, and then she's taking pictures of him. And then they cancel their date. And then somehow he thinks to reverse the signal on the glasses to track down the original source. Which, is that what they do in Incredibles as well?
Yep.
I think so.
Yep. They track him to they track the source of it to
Don't spoil it. The movie's still fresh.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Well, all right. First off, if you've ever seen this plot before, you know what happens. It's the most predictable movie ever.
But then he shows up to Mysterio, and suddenly he's in the middle of a desert with a giant dragon, and he points out it's the scariest dragon that he's ever seen.
It's the ugliest, but
ugliest one, because he's seen multiple dragons.
Spider-Man seen Fin Fang Foom?
He's had to have seen Fin Fang Foom at this point. I'm not sure exactly who else he would be talking about.
But has this Spider-Man?
I don't think this is the ugliest dragon he's ever seen. I don't think it's uglier than
O.J. Simpson?
I don't think it's uglier than O.J. Simpson.
I mean, also, I'm guessing he's run into Lockheed at least once at this point.
Well, because this is definitely after. This is definitely after Hooky, and Hooky had an ugly dragon in it.
Oh yeah.
So
that's got to take the cake.
Yeah.
But then Spidey finally realizes, he's like, well, I'm just gonna walk through the dragon because it's not fucking real, because it's Mysterio.
Which he should have done from the start.
But Mysterio does have the backup plan and just zaps him with electricity.
Okay, and this is honestly my favorite part of these 3 issues, where Mysterio's just like, I don't really know if these things really have as much of a charge as I think they do, but I'm just gonna zap you with all I can, and, if it kills you, it kills you, I guess.
I like how this is like kind of why Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain, because he's just like, he literally has to stop in battle to go to talk to Spider-Man, like, you fall for this shit every time.
And then the way Spidey wins is we get a classic video game boss fight maneuver where it's like, I'm going to let the villain charge all the way up, and then I'm going to dodge so he destroys his own stuff.
Yep.
And then with the subliminal control gone, Mysterio's programming sucks and no one watches it, so that advertisers just all walk out of the room and pull their dollars. And then the final few panels are this weird message where it's like as a consumer, entertainment is under your control, and all you need is the remote control. It's like trying to do this weird happy.
Dan Jurgens trying to tell us.
But the thing is, if you take that to a logical conclusion, don't consume bad media, You just stop reading these books.
Yeah.
It's getting very, very meta at this point.
Now, here's a Spider-Man question that I especially want to hear from Matt. And we talked about how Mysterio, occasionally he is threatening, usually not in the Spider-Man books, and sometimes not in continuity and stuff like that. Should Mysterio actually be good at special effects and entertainment and stuff, and he just had a shitty reputation for whatever reason, or should he suck like he kind of does here?
I mean, yeah, I think he kind of should suck.
I don't know.
Right?
I kind of like the idea that he's secretly actually really good. Because that gives him more sympathy as a reader,
okay,
and it also makes it more laughable that he does this bullshit.
Matt,
When if he actually tried, he honestly could be like a popular entertainer or just a successful FX guy.
but he's just a dirtbag.
If he's actually bad, then that means Spider-Man's really fucking stupid because he falls for the shit every single time.
I've been saying this. Spider-Man's just a fucking menace idiot who is bad at his job.
All right, so now we're going to cover the Spider-Man Holiday Special 1995. It's got an Adam Kubert cover with Ben, Peter, and Human Torch bursting out of a present, which is being opened by a giant-sized Santa hat wearing Venom. And it's a pretty good cover. This definitely does not happen in the issue.
I wish it did.
I believe this was actually submitted for Cool Cover Friday by like Emily 2 years ago for some reason.
No one knows who it is.
All right, so we have like I think 5 stories in here, and we'll go one by one. The first story is called A Matter of Faith, and it is written by Glenn Greenberg, who is an editor, and we'll see more of him as we go along with the Clone Saga. And Mike, who is drawing this story?
Kevin Maguire with a terrible inker.
Yeah, and why should every comic book fan know Kevin Maguire?
You should know who Kevin Maguire is because he drew like all of Justice League International, and that's a beautiful, beautiful book and a lot of like definitive takes on DC characters.
Yep.
For some people. Also, he just did Man of Steel #4 with Brian Michael Bendis.
You mentioned it's a terrible inker. The inks are Palmiotti.
Yeah, for a long, long time before Maguire started inking and coloring his own stuff, it never looked right. So he's like a person that can only ink his own things because the art always looks wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on here, but this obviously doesn't look anything like JLI. Maguire is super famous, especially for his character acting, like his facial expressions. And of course, Spider-Man wears a mask, so just off the bat, you're at a disadvantage there as far as using Maguire's specialties. But the art's not very impressive. So Ben beats up some thugs trying to rob a couple that's out Christmas shopping. And then he gets angsty about having no friends or family. Which, I mean, this makes more sense than the clone angst, which usually prior to this, his angst was always, oh no, I'm a clone. Now it's like, oh yeah, I have accepted I'm a clone. Well, I've accepted I'm not a clone, but also I have no one to talk to in my life. Well, he's kind of fixing that. And then distracted by a woman jumping from a bridge. And also
Incredibles thing.
Yeah. Back to Incredibles 1.
I didn't want to be saved. She should take Spider-Man to court.
So he saves this woman and then kind of just like carries her around the rest of the story. And Matt, what villain do we have here?
Firestarter. What's his name? I can't remember. Scorcher.
I don't even know it.
Scorcher.
The Scorcher is holding up a mall, and I passed it to Matt because allegedly Ben tells us that the Scorcher was one of the first villains he ever fought.
Yeah. Apparently he's in Untold Tales. I've not read Untold Tales.
Yep. That was
I've never heard of this guy.
Kurt Busiek's continuity insert Untold Tales of Spider-Man #1, and which Matt may like to know takes place in between Amazing Spider-Man 6 and 7.
Okay.
That whole series does?
No,
this
just
issue.
it's like slotted all in between the Elite Ditko run.
Okay.
In fact, before Untold Tales launched, they had Amazing Fantasy 16 to 18.
Now, the question is Scorcher wearing sunglasses with just a really, really thin brim, or does he have two lenses that he's constantly clenching in between his eyelids? That
I think the lenses.
I more associate Scorcher with the character that is played by Ben Stiller at the beginning of Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
It's the fake movie trailers.
So Scorcher has never been a huge deal, obviously, and he wasn't exactly meant to be, but he has made other appearances. But this is his publishing wise. This is his second appearance. This is just a few months after Untold Tales 1. But chronologically, this is probably like his sixth appearance or something.
I thought this was some like wild costumed pyro at the beginning of this.
And so now it's kind of interesting that we have this appearance because we can now note that there is actually a good Spider-Man book that now exists in late 1995.
But naturally, we're not reading it.
Yeah, if you were a smart Spider-Man fan, you would just be like, okay, all of the actual Spider-Man books that are taking place alongside all the other books I'm reading, let's just ignore all of those and let's read these stories that are supposed to be set in the 60s.
Literally go back to basics.
And so Spidey fights Scorcher, and we get a spiders are not insects quip, which Stanley should have read that.
Did he say ignoramus it to him at some point too?
Yeah, there's some iffy quips. And so then the attempted suicide girl saves another life, but she may have died. So then Ben goes berserk and wins the fight. And then she's fine. And she's also fine emotionally and mentally, or at least better. And Merry Christmas. Not the best suicide prevention comic story. I'd put it in the top 50 or something.
Look for that podcast.
We should. That would be a really weird podcast.
Be a really depressing podcast.
There was a Deadpool one recently that was very good.
Yeah,
also
like that
Superman, classic. So now we move into Merry Christmas, Mr. Storm, which this is written by Shali Fish, who is a dude, because if I didn't look it up, I would have no idea what someone named Shali would be. And he writes, to this day, mostly for DC's Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes books.
Jesus.
He's written almost every issue of Scooby-Doo Team Up. And the artists here are Robert Brown and Josh Hood. And Brown is a Todd McFarlane ripoff, which I know from the Over the Edge anthology, where he did a few Ghost Rider stories and other crap. And Josh Hood is a more cartoony artist, so I don't think they really work together well at all. And it's not even, but then again, it's not entirely clear who's doing which pages. It just looks like shit all around, so it doesn't matter. And so what's the setup here, Matt?
So yeah, Johnny is waiting on top of the
Statue of Liberty.
I'm literally sitting here thinking Eiffel Tower.
No,
Eiffel Tower.
Dude, I almost said
It's
Empire State Building, so you're fine.
Johnny's sitting on top of the Statue of Liberty, and he's waiting for Pete, who's not there because he's gone.
And there definitely should have been a caption that said last year, because it took me like 3 pages to figure out, this is a flashback. But I mean,
yes.
So we get this flashback with Peter, and Torch is bummed out for the same reasons I explained when he ran into Ben Reilly in like 2 episodes ago. All the Elijah shit. His wife is a Skrull, then she died, and she came back to fight him, and she was revealed to be pregnant. Then that pregnancy was revealed to be a fake, then she died again, and now he doesn't know that she's stalking him as in disguise. And also the woman that he thought was his wife for like several years is now back and in love with his best friend. And also his brother-in-law is dead and his sister is going crazy and sleeping with a fish man. So he's not going through a good time. And I'm pretty sure that's basically still the status quo a year later / in the present as we're reading it now. So he's going through a rough spot. And then Spider-Man reveals that he's married, which is like kind of a major thing in their relationship, which gets covered in this weird anthology Christmas story.
Yeah.
And then they reminisce on the good old days, which includes a fight with Sandman from Marvel Team Up #1. And then another potentially big moment, but they don't go through with it, is that Peter tries to reveal his identity, but Johnny stops him. And I'm pretty sure this was finally revealed way later in 2005 in the final issue of Dan Slott's Spider-Man Human Torch miniseries. And what makes that funnier when that eventually happens is that I'm pretty sure almost the entire rest of the Fantastic Four already knew Peter's identity, except for the guy who he's actually close friends with.
Well, it's even funnier is then Civil War wipes it out, and then the whole big reveal at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 600 is that he reveals his identity to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, again. Well, Civil War expands it, then One More Day wipes it out.
Yeah, One More Day wiped it out.
Then just like right after obviously the marriage was the primary thing for One More Day, but like immediately after One More Day, he starts telling people everyone his identity again.
Yeah. And like, this is kind of tangential, and I don't think it needs to be said, but I like Johnny knowing Pete's identity, you know?
Yeah.
I was surprised that he didn't know it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is weird, but it makes that final moment funny because Johnny's like, Reed knew? Who else knew? And he like freaks out. And then there's the moment where he's like, oh, you have the Parker luck. And from Johnny's perspective, he sees that as a good thing because he's like, oh, you're married to this badass like model. You're this like stable. You're a teacher at that point. You go on all these cool adventures. You get all this press, blah blah.
Yeah, I think definitely read Spider-Man Human Torch. Don't read this. Read Spider-Man Human Torch. This is great.
And then Johnny gives him a Venom action figure, and I have no idea how old Charlie Fish actually was, but I'm gonna make this comment anyways. Possibly you can tell the age of the writer because they call the action figure a doll, because I guess they're in the age group where the G.I. Joe marketing machine hadn't changed the terminology for them.
Okay.
And then Pete makes the joke. He's like, oh, my wife will love this, which is funny.
Mm.
And does he actually give Johnny a gift? He gives him his phone number, but it's on the bottom. Oh, it's on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, the bottom of the Eiffel Tower.
And so Johnny has his phone number, which it's like, if he really cared, he could totally figure out Pete's identity. Even back then, the white pages exist. Or those would be the yellow pages, I think. And then we get back to the present. Ben finally shows up, and he doesn't reveal his identity, but he explains the entire Clone Saga. And Johnny's like, oh, I know the feel. He's like, that sucks. And then Johnny gives Ben his phone number. And then the only other thing worth noting is that Ben Reilly's gauntlets are miscolored yellow.
Mm-hmm. And it looks disgusting.
Yeah, it looks really weird. For a second, I thought that was following from the previous story because in the end of the fight with Scorcher, he like burns up his hands, which they don't get back to.
All around, like that, this little Human Torch story is ugly. The art is terrible, but like I thought it was kind of cute.
It's not the best story in here, though.
Also, I just randomly noticed this. Fucking Human Torch during their conversation was just playing tic-tac-toe.
Yeah. And also in this story, Robert Brown is trying to do like these weird panel borders, like page borders, with like a little snowman getting pushed around. It's really weird and doesn't have anything to do with the actual story.
Jarring. It doesn't mesh with the rest of the look of the book.
So now I think the most interesting story in this issue is Companions, which is written by Adam Santangelo, who this writer has 2 total credits in comic books. This story and a story in Spider-Man Unlimited or something, which I assume we'll get to. So I have no idea who this guy is. It's probably a pseudonym.
Some intern.
And it's drawn by
Mike Lackey.
Or it's O.J. Simpson.
And so the story here is that Willie Lumpkin is in the cemetery mourning Aunt May. And so Willie Lumpkin, for those who don't know, was always the mailman for the Fantastic Four. And at some point, his route moved to Queens. And he just like delivered to Aunt May one day. And he's like, yo, we should go out.
Stan Lee played him in the first Fantastic Four movie.
Yep. And so Willie Lumpkin and Aunt May, they started dating back in Amazing Spider-Man 341 in 1990. And then Lumpkin just kind of disappeared from the Spider-Man books at some point, and then Aunt May died. So we're closing up that arc. And then he runs into another woman, and they're going to hang out.
Willie Lumpkin's going to get laid.
It was nice seeing Willie Lumpkin. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
There's actually a Willie Lumpkin Christmas-ish story as well in, I believe, Marvel Comics Presents number 18. I think that issue. And that's a cool story where he delivers presents to like some superheroes and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure it's that issue because that issue also has a preview of John Byrne's She-Hulk series.
Now, Vin, you mentioned your favorite part of Jessica Jones, number 1, was the anal sex. Does Willie Lumpkin go have anal sex with this woman that he meets after this issue?
I hope, but I also hope he used oil-based lube if he does so. Now, let's do this Black Cat story because I don't know what's going on with Billy.
He said his power went out. I'm assuming his internet is now out as well.
Nope, I'm fine.
All right, he's back. All right, let's do Black Cat.
An entirely different part of his house.
Let's do Black Cat super quick, and then we'll get to the meat of the
best for last.
Meat of the issue. So this is written by Carl Ballers, probably pronouncing that last name wrong. He wrote the Emma Frost solo series, which has some really cringy Greg Horn covers. And so I've seen online multiple stories of young girls, like teenage girls or younger, who were buying the book growing up because they're like, oh, Emma Frost is a really cool character. But they would like hide it in their backpack and not read it on the train because the covers are just straight up porn, despite the inside of the issue being like a young adult book. And
was Greg Horn at PhillyCon?
Yeah, I think he was. And Carl Ballers also apparently wrote a bunch of the Sonic comics for Archie. And this is drawn.
He can review them.
This is drawn by Chris Gardner, who did some issues of Legionnaires, and then I don't know what happened. He only has like 10 credits total. The story itself, there's even less to talk about than the credits. I didn't even know what happened. It's like 3 pages with 0 dialogue, and Black Cat is either stealing or delivering toys to an orphanage, but they were stolen before, so she's re-stealing them from the thieves to re-deliver them to where they were originally stolen from.
I like when she reads the newspaper, the headline is Toys Stolen from Orphanage, and Spider-Man's pictured there. So it makes it look like Spider-Man stole toys from an orphanage.
He probably did. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me the Spider-Man likes to steal toys from an orphanage.
And now, Billy, what is our last story?
Our last story is The Venom Clause. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever read.
It's amazing.
It's not one of mine.
Well,
so it's written by Eric Fine, who of course is an editor. This is 1995 Marvel. They don't have real writers. And this is drawn by Javier Saltares, who's mostly known for Ghost Rider. Did you like how he drew Venom in this?
He gave him the weird snout.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you think about it, Venom's mouth should, like, come out because it's, like, an extension of Eddie Brock's. So, like, that makes sense, but it also looks kind of ugly, and it probably could be done better. And in some of the panels, he gives him, like, weird pupils, which I'm not a fan of. Yeah,
So, Billy, what happens in this story?
well, Venom. It opens up with Venom seemingly threatened to murder this sidewalk Santa that's on the ground, but really he's helping him because Venom's a good guy now. And turns out he got mugged, and Venom's like, nah, 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 no mugging on my street, not in my house. And so he gets Venom to disguise him as a Santa, waits for someone to harass him, shoves a megaphone in the guy's mouth, and then stops a group of muggers.
And he's
All
about
in the name of Christmas.
he's about to murder them all, but then a woman stops him because it's Christmas.
And he gives her a little cute kiss on the cheek.
And then the best part, well, yeah, the kiss on the cheek was really weird.
It's amazing.
And then the best part is that he swings away singing Christmas songs, but Venom themed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
We know who's naughty, and we'll put him on ice.
Mixed feelings on that story.
He swings
Oh,
away in a Santa hat, and it's amazing.
Okay, guys. Well, that's the end. So you guys have to guess what's under the hat.
Oh, I know. It's her headphones.
Well, that's correct, but no.
Hair?
Also correct, but no.
The knife that O.J. Simpson used to murder Nicole Brown.
Allegedly, but no. It is Little Ben.
Ah!
It's a Christmas miracle.
June.
All right. Next episode, we will be covering the miniseries Spider-Man: The Final Adventure, which it's not the finale of the Clone Saga, but it officially takes Peter and MJ off the board, at least for a little while.
Isn't it like for 2 issues?
Yeah, it'll be like 2 episodes at max.
Great.
So thanks for watching this one, and tune into next episode. Peace.
With apologies to O.J. Simpson.
We apologize for.
I don't know. He's a murderer.
Okay, bye.